You remember the feedback? Almost say no credit. And you remember, I said we spent almost a month trying to prove to the country and the government say Galamsey has escalated. Emma, it had to take us 1 month to prove. After I was almost set up an emergency meeting with CSOs at the president. CSOs by a pet, and almost you are fed here, and Yatias here, until no Galamsey, and see, you be declare forest reserves and water areas, national security installation.
Military presence.
Nana, Obi Wong so my be. Niamano mo kan na emu de na ohun so my. Ene no so kwotwere. Anche bia ene yehu say baby abefa bia omo say dollar abafem inti Ghana koyie mombonsem. That was the time I oka baby omo say Mahama is the obi to me hia wo na komo de no oka say chale we can pay the fees. Our hostels every 6,800 NDC for say Mahama is the whole school fees if 1,006 equal 2,600 Mahama is the whole taxi drivers any truck drivers catch say spare parts no ekosro in spite of dollar abafem Mahama is the whole obi omo ye ya fe dey do baby no eno mu fi Mahama is the whole no ba tetem Mahama obenya tetem Ghana for don on be to man teacher for tetem and I kept telling you say omu push your lack. Omu push your lack to the extent say good work kakra omunya. Stretching it too much. Inti my view is that omu to omu wase. No omu step back. No omu ye a proper your friend is saying review of exactly what is going on in the country, and they will see the gaps and fix it. You remember, I was one of the few people. In fact, I was the first person to sit here and tell you, say they were artificially manipulating our currency. Okay, Emma Mikachu said, "You will come back to bite them." Ultimately, you remember I said this. Emma and Kofor trouble me. I say, "Me pesa dollar ne be kofe." And I said, "No, yeah, pesa dollar ne kofe." But if you want to drive the strength of your currency, do it through the real sectors of the economy. And yes, to gold figure Galamsey for her. Now I just cannot dumping into the. And I said this. Until you could do November. You do November, almost you are minor a year. See, buying the pay on bay because almost sees your minor. Why? Because almost $14 about 10. Friend is saying fuel $14 about 9. Inflation 3. Obi 3% is the inflation in this country today. Yeah. Then I said, so no, there's something wrong. That was when the People's Forum, young guys, 30 of them, for over 5 days, more analyzing the performance of the NDC. That was when he came and said, this government was running the economy and the country PR. Indeed, on paper, a lot of the macroeconomic indicators now improving. But it became quite apparent, obvious, there's a big disconnect between the macroeconomic improvement and the realities of the Ghanaian people. And the People's Forum bio. When we reassess assessment, you doubt because we felt the different from the Abainika, and we decided to go and test it in the market. And then my first People Forum buyer, it came out and said, "Oh, Sadiano Crampono, indeed, the cost of living today for the Ghanaian citizen is worse than when inflation was 23%, than when dollar was 14%, than when fuel was 40%, and it's a fact. It came out clearly." And when we finished that thing, they said, "Oh, miracles, party for until now, 2 weeks later, now the Ghanaian people started now calibrating, validating that. In all of a sudden, you realize we'll be caught there. No, I for 2024 receipt, not their compare. Because before then, nobody was really doing it. Everybody was being driven by the government PR. And it's true. What we say, I don't know whether you've read the story of the men in the cave. There's this story we learn't very early in the philosophy class at the University of Ghana. The men in the cave. They lived thinking, say, light is where they are. Because you want to work with them, or it's not darkness in him. Until by the time already 18, he's able to find his toothpaste, he's able to find it, ask everything in the dark. Until he actually thought he was in the light. To the extent, say, when one of them slept, Baku Johnny free cave with him or Bab until being shared, so Johnny Koshe cave with him. Said there be light in more danger, emano, than the darkness. And it happens. That is how human psychology is engineered. And it will be every or one mobile. And it will be Kamana mobile. And it will be a cranty obere. Baby obenyi ni akwa befa so e de be do be tu trim ene ntete ye be ma. So it's true. By the time you do November 2025, the government made a lot of Ghanaians believe say Omabra boy is enough until we triggered the conversation. And today it has become clear. Say no, there's something wrong. It has become clear. Obi, tell me one thing that has improved in the Ghanaian person's life. The macroeconomic indicators have improved, but the output of the improved macroeconomic indicators, is not on the paper. It is what we feel in our pockets. And Obi catcher will say, Nana me back school, Ivandi, no to 6,200 for the hostel, and you to 7,800. Now catcher and say, but inflation above say, any inflation in 23. Now mean to 6,200. Obi wakabone.
On carbon, but say Obi nsu dealy, and answer say, we Ghana near on so crack cars at the Bagana, and say, oh crack car at the Bagana, port duty, above form because of CDNA. That is savings in your pocket.
So the point is that let's admit, and I think the last time I made you said 10% to 15% of the population and are benefiting from our policies. How about the masses? Accra, when you say between 75 to 80% of people who live in Accra have public transport.
Yes.
And it say their infrastructure ban say fuel every 14 about 9. Na say me fa trotro, na trotro price in ma fam. E mo bia be kan ho a. 15% pay some first. So the masses were suffering at the expense of. That's the point I have always made. The other beer me can say, Nipa kakrebi, and you know the funny thing is say, Nipa kakrebi no so no, omo no mandu dwom. Omo no munya radio so kasa. Omo na mon nanfo eye obi mo, ene Dominic mo. Enti omo do omo ba, of course. Na me sesa $14. Na me do kofa niema ba Ghana, see 10 my benefit. Na me kraka ba Ghana, na me sesa 40 and 10 my benefit. Me cry me private car, now me to 40 and then me turn 10, my benefit. So those people have benefited, but they are few. Masses, no. Me and me back school, our GIS, me $2. Me back school Roman rate, me $2, my benefit in bois.
Yes.
So those ones, but they are few, 10 to 15%. So the reality is that by the time we notice, this government had run about we had 12 months. Ni niamo ye nyina no, e kwama nipa kakra bi pe. And a masses, ebre and a masses no brain so mo brain so obi ante. It took the trigger and obi when we started this you remember the insult. Friend is saying doomsayers omon pa the papa more minor but today it's become real say we are right. The same thing happened to cocoa. Obi cocoa farmers were not paid in October. Yentu omuka November, yentu omuka December, yentu omuka January. Cocoa farmers endi bronya wo. Omo endi bronya, they were not paid. Did you know about it? Did the government come to tell us about it? But cocoa farmers started some demonstration. No. They have been protesting since November. They have been almost call LBC's office. Christmas, December time, cocoa farmers purchasing class in the LBC. The government suppressed all of this until we brought it out. Yeah, the Babonte wanted no mokai. Oh, miracles are cocoa farmers. We have go abonte until we persisted. And of course, what the voice. Emma cocoa farmers no. I feel last. Abina fe abe admit it. Ultimately no. Abina abe admit it. Oh gidi cocoa farmers asemono. The president has invited and I said directed for an emergency cabinet meeting. This cabinet meeting should have been held in November. This cabinet meeting should have been held in December. Cabinet meeting no more and it should have been held in January. Why did it take them so long? It took people to trigger the conversation. The government again was using PR to suppress the masses. Cocoa farmers are Ghana registered. 1 million and over. Registered. Obi omo register omo nka ho. Omo ye no omo manka. Unu say cocoa farmers also there multiple wives. Omo traditional people. Obi won yerom 2 3. Obi won 11. Omo to be sure mama because omo ye adwuma. Omo no obi eni asem. Obi okeka boma is about 5 million. But they enter omo voice. This government managed to suppress these voices. And nobody was hearing about the hardship of the cocoa farmers. Today, eventually, you persist with people like you, your help. And the millions of Ghanaians on my bra buying way, obiade na nutu no, I feel shamelessly. Almost the emergency cabinet. Moko emergency cabinet by ya. Mo nya courtesy. Say mo be cocoa farmers no o mako discuss. Impo ache mo de ekọ so answer. Wa betina akra na original microphone ne camera enim. Na o say ya temo cocoa no so. Say mo be gi amonje e ma monje so amonte ho. Obi the same applies to the friend is saying interior ministry, security services, immigration, fire service, prisons, police. I have it in my inbox almost every day. Almost any mommy with me inbox. And yet, allowances
but almost salaries are paid.
Yes,
right?
but that's all. People don't live only on their salaries.
I get it. So I'm rent allowance.
The entire economic life, you know, based on their income. He has earned it. They haven't paid some of them for a whole year. If you want the last time on Musaka allowances here, March, and you know, me see teacher for cry, allowances are buying way into your teachers, allowances are buying way into your. So I just hear.
Yeah, but the government is also barely 1 year in office. I mean, you don't expect to obey PBR within 1 year.
No. We are recurrent expenditure. Yankase Kosi motorway. Obi Yankase Kosi airport. These are recurrent expenditure. When people work, they deserve to be paid.
Yes.
These are things that every government does. Obi, you claim said the economy was in shambles before you took over. That in shambles economy was paying all these allowances. Now, what now we economy now improving now? What's the dollar? Yes, Felicia, I want to mean to allowances. Yeah, then what are we doing here? Obi, and what is the real benefit of the so-called macroeconomic improvement? Can you mention one benefit? If you cannot pay allowances, if you can't pay salaries, what is the benefit? Teacher for the next 14 months. Untumi fe bin kan ho yo. Omo ma ye adwuma no 14 months. Untumi nti omoka. What's the economy are improving? Into no teacher ni na o kira de o mango ase no. Emfaso pa we nya e wo improved macroeconomic indicators no. Ene de ahin. E just o ka kira wo se ene e kotra fie na de normal inflation 23% na mbra. Omwa because inflation 23% no to your allowances no. Obi, there are very serious issues going on in this country. Now, you know, in order for them to cover their shame, I see the NDC people on social media, and this government, they oral until they talk about
because I must say a lot of Ghanaians had faith in oral. Now, omoba, you know, more and manuai than they are buying on your machines, but they should begin arresting and prosecuting.
Obi, they arrested and prosecuted people. Arrest and prosecute. Who arrested and prosecuted? I say, you jungle.
No.
Obi make say michiro. NDC for nanka say tia konya so see war offices no. Omo kra no run na achi omo first.
Appointees.
Omo wa aban mu ene no nti say NDC for no person omo tia ase de nti ya ne ma to din ya. Omo ankasa appointees nanka sakra je dom ti no. E dom to no.
Oral ne be chi omo.
Anase achi omo dada yes be chi omo ti say that is if the definition of oral no ye based on the omo chogu books mu de achi omo. Na de wa achi we den ko chi obi. Me say tie ne ye o. Because you see, we always said some of the things they were mentioned were senseless. Obi, how do you tell me, say, according to who view, no, Bank of Ghana building this, you know, according to who view, no,
yes.
Bank of Ghana building the board into their car around. Obey that you be one watching. Obi, what watching? Say, oh, according to war, no. According to all
project
expenses do kwache etu da ka ora ho na we dey to party for trim na party for ni age
sir you recover sika EDC
o ko recover from o ko enti so you see etu we NDC na wutie na hu de enti a Bank of Ghana entumi nchi obi a it's because one kasa kra no omo ko ora one kan obi o pa ka cha ban we so on release this book kese bi na oral committee ni on release na party for no say they won't collapse. Obi me say the fact say we say Bank of Ghana dynasty when bo edin no and no just say obi aye bone it is a we NDC na say we do to say o party say oba obey oral be from Bank of Ghana when your BP ya keke ko pedro bi no because Bank of Ghana na me no ka say NDC aban by so CC market omo to ton konwa district assembly so omo to ton konwa mo omo ye road me boa enti me aban for ba or say road bi na mo ye wo your friend is saying Ashanti region no according to aban for road ne board den todo nti oba ora we nyansa wo no atam road ne value no ensa no mo ye no nti omo tam road ne value no no mo de ahye book rim omo be 25 omo
21 billion
dollars obi $21 billion I need acquire IMF ko je $3 billion $21 billion ne about $21 billion no me say Bank of Ghana de ne ka ho in fact my menka say me kra na NDC for no yare more sa ora na mo mpeni for ne ka che mamuda tu mutirim no me say insase asase a obi ato abaya advertise asase obi akọ wakwakoto wetua ka ye de akọ or de akọ lands commission ya transfer of ownership amano se me no ka say ne asase ne ye ne dia mo mpanifo no tro sa asase no say o ma dwi mu no asase na me to no $100,000 no according to omo no omo gidi say asase no nkese $1 million enti omo de $1 million a share book nim e ka $22 billion omo go je fi hwan wo obi na sa back o de fa de say ye court class court say ampa na ye say $1 million a obe just kefi mu e na say be do asase mo ba o de ato party for trim say sa $1 million bi no e recover all to no bi anye bi as aban e advert say oton asase oton $10,000 na me kokota me maye bone that it means say me e loot and ya aban na in advert and what oton wade na makokoto does it mean say my loot now if that principle is what is going to apply there and the national service for no moment to nyina bedem obi nyina bedem NDC for penny for nyina bedem because aban for bar A4 sheet now all turn 20 cedis na buy to me catch say ono na dwum na say 10 cedi into ora meboa obi it's senseless what the attorney general akasa ka kire no o ka kire we say a document na ora for the mind here say
enti afi na also mo further investigation
enti esa o to bo ase obi it doesn't